Alrighty. Well, we will go ahead and get started. I want to thank everybody for coming to our January Leadership Series event. We're going to be focusing on the importance of onboarding today. We are very fortunate to have Miss Emily McCoy, Ronnecia Hodges, and Yesenia Melgar with us today. I know, Julie, you had a few words you wanted to say before they get started.
Yes, I just wanted to I was bragging about Miss Emily. She is far the best onboarder I've ever seen at UC Riverside. And she does things from the smallest things to having a welcome banner up, making sure that you have your name tag, your polo, your everything ready for you, even to the harder things like making sure you're able to log in to a program and you don't have to wait 2, 3, 4 weeks to get that. So I'm sure her staff are going to say a few things too, but I just wanted to let you know that if you haven't on board, if you don't have a plan, take good notes because she's going to teach you a few things.
So with that, we'll pass it on over to you, Emily.
Okay. Thank you, Julie, for that. Thank you, Brittany, for all your help. I'm going to take it down a couple notches because Julie likes to put those expectations out there, and I just want to come on back down because I am here and I am still learning. Even after 26 years of being a supervisor, I am learning something new every day. So my name is Emily McCoy. I've been on campus since 2005. I started as a clerk over at Aberdeen Inverness. I've always been with housing. I've enjoyed my time with housing. I'm also an alumni of the university, so I have a great love for the people here, the campus, and the students who are coming and going, just making sure that they are taken care of while they're here, and that starts with having staff who care. So today I have with me Ronnecia and Yesenia, and they can both introduce themselves.
Hello, I'm Ronnecia Hodges. I am a resident accounts manager here in housing. I have been here since 2014, so now about 6.5 years. Always been with housing, and Emily is my direct supervisor, and I, again, here for the students, love helping students and making sure that they can get here, have a pleasant experience, a good experience, and can graduate successfully.
Hi everyone, my name is Yesenia Melgar. I'm also a resident account manager. I started as professional staff in 2016, but started with Emily actually as a student worker. So I've experienced both sides of her as a student employee and then as professional staff. And I've been in housing my entire time, and it's just been great working here. There's always something new to learn and new things to achieve and overcome, and it's just been a good time with, especially with constant changes with COVID. It's just brought new opportunities to change how we work and how we help our students.
Thank you both. They're here to answer any questions you may have at the end to keep me honest with you so that I don't just tell you about what I do. If you want to know that does the actual experience work and how it works for them, I wanted them here for the question and answer period. So let's get started. And make sure I know how to click. What can you guys see? Okay. The goal of onboarding, I think that's where everybody should start. What's your goal in your area for onboarding? For me, I am wanting to successfully add a team member who will complete my already highly effective team. For me, that's going to start when I'm looking through applications, getting all of those skills that you need for somebody to have to bring that into your team. That's where you're starting with that. But once you're interviewing, you're looking for who's going to fit best with my team. You already know they have the skills. That's why you brought them in for the interview. But you want to know, are they representing themselves the way they did on paper? And if they're going to fit with your team. But once you made that decision, everything starts with ensuring that new team member is going to feel welcome. You don't want to start out with, okay, sit right here in the corner and I'll be back in about 30 minutes to check on you. That's not a good experience. I approach it in the manner of, what do I want done for me? And I've had plenty of supervisors over my career to know, I didn't really like that, or that wasn't fun, or I was pretty much thrown into that first day at the desk, and I had to fend for myself. So that sink or swim, that doesn't work for me, because I want this person to be successful. So their success depends on what I do from the very beginning. So that's going to start at the time of job offer. I'm going to say to them, this is what we can do for you. This is what I'm presenting to you. And then I want to be able to have them come in and say, man, that first day was great. I'm excited to do this. I can't wait for tomorrow. That was a great experience. That's what I want them to have on that first day. That can be challenging because you're fighting against time. As a supervisor, your calendar is already booked. You have meeting after meeting. So how can you make sure that this person is onboarded successfully? It's about setting up everyone for success. So not only this new team member, but also your team. You want them to be part of the onboarding as well. So what I've found over the years, there are 5 things that I know I must have when I'm onboarding a student or a professional staff member. This works for both. I need an onboarding schedule. That's going to make sure that we stay on track, that I've blocked off on my calendar to say that this person is important to me. You've made the investment of hiring them, and now you want to invest in them the time so that they can be successful. I want to create an onboarding checklist. What does my checklist look like? And I'll give you some examples at the end. If you want to see those, I can share those with you if you want to email me or call me. But this is what I have created over the last years. I also have a process of identifying what I need, connecting with the right people, and making sure that my new person is connecting with the right people. And I'm reviewing my process constantly. And these things I'll come back to again and again throughout the presentation. But these are the 5 things that I found were most important to my successful onboarding of a new team member. If I'm going too fast or you have questions, write them down and we'll do questions at the end, because I'll get sidetracked and I won't keep going. Okay. Your need for partners in your onboarding process. You want to reach out to HR, because HR is really important. Your first partner in making sure that all the paperwork is completed. There have been mishaps before where somebody has missed their benefit period, or they don't have the right email address, and they were a temporary worker and they had one email address, and now there's a new email address and nothing is going to the right place. So you want to make sure that you have conversations with your HR person to make sure that they're getting everything they need from the new staff member, and that the new staff member will definitely be set up for success by knowing deadlines, knowing what HR is saying is mandatory, all those first mandatory trainings, making sure those are scheduled. So your HR person is key in that, in making sure that campus deadlines and needs and trainings are met. And then you have your own area trainings and needs that you'll add on to your checklist also. But you also need an IT partner. You need to find that person that knows your package of systems It's up to you as a supervisor to know that list of systems that that person is going to need so that you can get started right away. As soon as you know their net ID, you can put in those tickets to say this person is going to be needed to set up with these types of things so they can get access as soon as possible. Am I going to say that they're going to have access on that first day to log in? Probably not. But you use that time wisely also. And I'll show you how to use that time where somebody doesn't have access to the system yet. You can still have them do things in the office with a buddy. You also want to use your current staff. You want them to help in the training so that you get team members used to relying on each other. The conversations need to start from that first day, and current staff can help you do that. You want to make sure too that you're using other unit staff. We have different units within housing. We have the RSO, we have auxiliary units, the BPC, the back cash office, and we have our campus partners, student business services. We have financial aid, case management, the care office, our Res Life partners. These are people that I know my staff can't do their job without having these connections. So I get a list of these people and make sure that there is some point where there is a meet and greet or there is an actual going to sit down and meet with these people. Now, COVID has definitely thrown a wrench in these things and has changed it. And I'll go over that a little bit also, because during this period, I was onboarding 3 different new staff members as COVID hit, and it changed the onboarding process for me greatly. So some things to consider while you're onboarding. You want to consider their learning style of the new staff member. How are they learning? Are they verbal, auditory? Are they visual? Because you want to set up them for success. And in order to do that, you need to know their learning style. And it's just a matter of asking. You don't have to give them any type of test or anything like that. It's just a matter of asking, hey, how do you best learn? It might be a combination of things. So I like to make sure people can move around and do different things. And when I set up their schedule, I set them up to meet with different people during the day so that our current workers are letting them know this is a typical day. This is how I go through my day. How are you learning? What tools do you use to keep yourself on track with deadlines? And it starts that share system amongst the team already. You also want to find out if there is any need for accommodations. Have you set those up? Have you made sure that's in place before that person gets there? And you also want to look at a buddy system. Have somebody check in on them to make sure, did you take your lunch? Did you do something at break? You want to see where we typically go for lunch. How did you care for yourself during the day? You want to make sure that that wellness aspect is there. And you want to re-emphasize to that new staff member that we take seriously the health of our work environment. A healthy work environment will mean that that person will return to work. If they're walking into something and it's stressful, they can see the tension in everybody's face. The gossip already has started flying on that first day. That's going to cause a problem. So you want to make sure to set up that expectation that no, we maintain a healthy work environment here and we want everyone to be successful. So then I go back to that identify, connect, and review. And you want to do this. This is going to be a recurring thread throughout your process. You want to make sure that you're taking the time to identify the need at that point, connect with different people, and review your process. So where do I start? You're saying, Emily, that sounds great, but where do I start? I don't have this in place right now. I would love a healthy work environment. I would love to maintain great relationships within the office and start this from the beginning. So I start with expectations. I have an area list of expectations for the staff, and that's exactly where I start. You can't have somebody come in and then different people are giving them expectations. That should come from you as the supervisor, so you can have those initial conversations about the hours and what we typically do and how do you call in and where do I go first thing in the morning? What does my workstation look like? Yes, this has changed in COVID. We all of a sudden had to work remotely. That looked different. We needed to have access to new systems and things. But typically you want to start with expectations. You want to use your resources like your employee handbook if you have that for your area. If not, does one need to be created? And this is where your HR partners come into play again. You want to make sure that you have things in writing so that the employee isn't questioning, where do I go for this? What do I do? What's my role here? You set that at the beginning. You also want to make sure that you listen. In this time, I find that people will give you information. They want to be there. They want to be engaged. They want you to know what's going on with them. So it's a good time to just be a good listener and let them know that it's okay to talk with you. If you establish that open relationship with them from the beginning and let them know that they are a value to you and your team, that will ensure that they will be able to talk to you if any hardships come up in their life and they really need somebody to talk to, and you can point them in the right direction. They need time to learn. Let them know that they're going to make mistakes and have an open environment where you say, hey, just come to me when you make those mistakes. When mistakes are made, we can fix them. If they're caught early, we need to just make sure that you know that this is your time to learn, and learning involves mistakes. Everybody makes them. I still make mistakes, and I let my new team members know that this is an inevitable. You're going to make mistakes. So I also use our area handbooks. I make sure that our handbooks, we try to keep them up to date. It's important. I bring out area literature. These are those things that you do when you don't have access to a computer yet. So you're pointing them on the schedule that this is your time to learn. This is your time to listen to other employees. This is my time to listen to you. There are brochures that you can go through. We try to have a kiosk up front for the students. That person can go through our website. We're asking them questions. We have electronic things to go through, but also the hard copies of what we give out and hand out to our customer. This starts to reinforce the product knowledge, especially for us as an auxiliary service in housing. You need to know the product because we are giving answers to customers who are very demanding. And then you want to schedule something that's what I call a daily come through. I'm going to do a little drive-by, 10-minute checkup. And I don't want it to be a surprise for that employee. I want to say during my expectations, here is what your schedule is for onboarding. Here at the end of every day, I'm going to come wherever you are in your schedule and I'm going to check in with you. I don't want it to turn into a checkup. I want it to be a check-in. And what I mean by that is I don't want to have them ramble off what they did. I want it to be an engaging conversation of how your day went. I want you to know that I value how you spent your time today. I want to reinforce what you learned. So if you have any questions, you're going to ask me at that time. And I'm going to make sure that you understand what's going to happen on your schedule for the next day. So it's a check-in, not a check-up. You also want to make sure during this period that their setup is working for them. Is the workstation that you provided set up ergonomically? Did they have an ergonomics appointment? Do they have their polo shirts that they need? Do they have their name tag yet? Do they have their business cards that they need? What's going on at their workstation? You want to continuously say, as a supervisor, am I setting up this person for success? I also want to check their calendar on a daily basis. I want to make sure that they are setting up individual development time for the beginning. For my team, I make sure that they have an hour of development time. We are always transitioning to new systems. We are always doing new things or new processes in our area. So it's important to me that they have an hour to shut down where they are developing themselves and making sure that they're on top of whatever changes we have in our areas. So that's important for me to see on their calendar, and I will continuously ask that throughout their career with me, that they keep it on there. So during their one-on-ones, we will talk about that IDP time. I also ask that they set up an evaluation little checklist, however they want to keep some documentation on tooting their own horn. This is what I did great today. This is why I'm great. This is why you need to keep me on your team. This is why I'm an invaluable team member. It's either a Word document or I have them put the evaluation paperwork on their desktop so that every day they can refer to it and say, these are the things that I'm working towards. If they don't know how they're going to be evaluated or they don't know what the forms look like, evaluation time is going to be a surprise, and it shouldn't be that way, and it shouldn't make your employees feel ill. So you want to set them up so that they can fill out those self-appraisals easily. If they're taking notes throughout the year on what they've accomplished, what goals they've accomplished, and what some of the daily outstanding things that they've been doing, if it's already written down for them somewhere on their desktop, it won't be such a shock to the system or so difficult to go back through the calendar, all your emails for the year and say, what did I do? Of course, this year may be different because during COVID, we were running wild and just trying to keep up with the 3,000 students that were mass exiting the campus. So this year was a little bit different, but we're trying to go back through and collect all of that information. But on a typical year, this is what I ask the staff to do, and I like to start it from the beginning so that they get in the habit of doing that. So some examples of things that I use, I have an onboarding schedule, and I'll show you that during the question and answer period if you'd like. I have a checklist that I use. I put their name at the top, me as the supervisor, so that they know that I am accountable for that checklist as well as they are. And then we have the dates that we're signing off that those things are being completed. I include some fun forms in the forms that I give them because that constant filling out of paperwork, and there's nothing fun about that. I do a fun facts about me where I collect their birthday, their favorite candy, those types of things, so that I know some fun things about them and not just work things, so that when their birthday rolls around, I don't have to say, well, what's their favorite color, or what do they enjoy, or things like that, so that I can be proactive instead of the last minute reactive when it comes to just getting something fun in front of them. Like I said, we do expectations. I want to make sure that there is no question about what they are expected to do as an employee. And I want to make sure that it's the same for across the board, that they don't have to ask other staff members, well, why is this like this, or why is that like this? Everyone knows this is the way we run the area. I have a daily task list that they can refer to. and a contact list for them, so they know who to contact in what scenario, how to contact them, and how that person is going to assist you in what particular process. So those are the things that I set up. And next, no. I went back to the beginning. Sorry about that. Okay, one side of my screen is moving and the other is not. Assistance. There. Okay. Once you have all of these forms, you're saying, well, Emily, where does this stuff land? I'm pretty old school. So I have file folders. I'm just going to pull one out of my drawer here. Because the way I operate, I want to make sure that if something happens and I don't return the next day, somebody else can pick up and keep going where I left off. So it's important to me. I have folders for each employee with their name across the top, any other corresponding information that I need, like a project code or anything like that for them. And inside I have multiple pages. There, right through that. Note, I take notes at every one-on-one we have. I keep all of those fun things that we were doing when keys were issued, anything like that, I'm keeping in this folder so that anybody can easily take over and say, okay, I know where this person is and what's going on with this person. I'm not writing down things that are too personal because that's between me and that team member. But I am taking notes on what's going on, where they are in their development, and making sure that everything's okay. Now, if you wanted to keep those electronically, you could. I'm just real old school and I like the folder. I know Julie's a binder girl. Hey, binder girls together. So getting back to the basics, where we're doing that identifying, connecting, and reviewing. You are going to run into challenges, but you want to identify those early. And that's where that come through will help you at the end of each day when you're onboarding someone. You can find out where you're having challenges in your onboarding process. Are there holes? Is there something missing? Did you miss an opportunity to do something with this person? And if you're checking in daily, you're going to figure that out quickly. We forgot this. I need to add this. And it's important to go to your checklist or go to your schedule and say, this was missing, so that when you do your next version of the form, it's on there and you're ready to go for the next person that you're going to onboard. Or you can say, we needed this for professional staff. I think this would be good for our student staff. So those two onboarding processes, if you put them together, they might not mirror each other exactly, but you can look at where there might be holes or gaps or where they do need to intertwine to fill in those missed opportunities. It's also important, again, to connect. This gets your new employee involved. Ask the new employee about those challenges, the missed opportunities. Ask them how they're feeling, how the process is going, because during the day, I'm having them sit with a particular team member that is strong in those particular areas. And then I'm going to have that new staff member go back and teach that process to somebody that knows that process. I'm checking their notes. I'm checking to make sure it's sinking in. I'm checking to make sure that they don't have questions, because sometimes during the process when you're teaching someone, they won't ask questions. But if they have to teach somebody else, you can find the gaps in what they don't know or what might be missing in their notes. So it's really important to have them connect and go back and see what might be missing. This creates a real connection, I've found, with the employee, because they start to understand how much their understanding of processes matter and how valuable they are to you as a team member. And then you want to review your entire process with the team. This kind of gives everybody on the team a shot of enthusiasm, because maybe, you know, when people come around, you're stuck in that rut and you're like, oh, here comes another new person, or I want to get to know the new person. This gives everybody the opportunity to get to know that new team member and makes them aware of their importance. So that, for me, gets everybody to the table as a group so that we can look at our entire process together, because I need this team. I can't do the work without the team, and I need that team to know it. So I usually refer a lot to a book that I've been using since I came to the UCR campus. It was given to me in an early HR training. I think it's on one of my next slides. So I want to talk a little bit about my resources. I'm talking a lot. I realize that. We're going to get to questions soon. Just stay with me. We're on resources. We're almost there. I'd like to have an outsider review my process. So over the years, I've had Julie look at my process. I've had Lisa look at my process. Have somebody you know is going to tell you the truth. That's not going to work, or you should try something different. If you're having those outside eyes look at your process, that also gives you the opportunity to maybe insert something new into your area that you hadn't thought of, something that may be missing, something that they're doing that you can incorporate into your own process. Every extra pair of eyes will help. So not only from your current staff and within your unit, look for a resource across campus to say, hey, just review my process with me. If you have like 20 minutes where you can look at this and see if there's something missing. So have that network that you can run these things by. So the book that I was talking about that I reference a lot, and you can see I have paper clips, I have little tabs, I've written in it. I try to limit my writing in it because I know people like to borrow books and I like to exchange books. This one I rarely do because I don't want it to disappear, but I do always recommend, and you'll see the book there, Getting Things Done When You're Not in Charge. That has helped me so much in my career that I pass that on. Those things that I've learned from the book, I incorporate that into my onboarding so that people know, hey, Emily's not always going to be there to answer the questions because I'm in too many meetings. I need my team to work together and I need them to be effective. So they need to get things done. Even though they're not in charge, they need to push things through. So I always make sure that they know that they're me when I'm not here. That's just the way I operate. So if the goal of us is to add a successfully well-rounded team member, they need to know how to get things done when I'm not here. And as a supervisor, it's very important to me that I train my staff for any opportunity that may become available. Well, there was a period of time during this COVID period where I wasn't here, but I knew that my staff was going to be able to help my supervisor get through the time when I wasn't here. And it happened, and they were so effective that I was thanked for their work. And I can't take credit for that. They work hard, but I know it's my job to prepare them and have them ready for any opportunity that may come their way. And that's even if it's an opportunity with another department. I push my staff to think beyond what is right in front of them and say, you never know what is going to come through the door or who's going to need your talents and skills. So it's important to me to develop the staff and help them realize their goals. I think that's my job as a supervisor. So what about now? What's been happening? Well, in responding to COVID-19, we stayed with the same thing. Even though we had to work differently, we were working in a combination of working remotely and in the office. We all of a sudden became essential staff, not knowing that we were essential staff. So essential staff in my head was all of the medical teams and things like that. But there are people here who could not go home. There are people here who needed us here, especially dining, res life, us to help with the contracts, us to make sure that they got the information that they needed about canceling, because most of the students had left their belongings behind. How are we going to get people back in contact with their belongings? So we had to work quickly. There was a need for new resources. How are we going to talk to people from home? We don't have work phones. All we have are our personal phones. Should our personal numbers be out there for students to call? Didn't want to do that. So we had to think outside the box and do things differently. Some people could not come in because of daycares had shut down. So how do you tell people to come into an office as an essential worker when they don't have daycare for their kids? So I very much had to be open-minded and say, hey, we're going to do what we can, when we can, however we can, to make sure that the students still get help that are with us. And even those who may be coming in, those who may be leaving, we're going to give them the best possible service that we can. So then we needed to review as often as we could. We were adjusting hourly sometimes to things that were decisions that were being made, things that were being said, trying to adjust to what the student needed because it was a different type of need. We were really just flying by the seat of our pants for a while and making sure that we could adjust in a moment's notice, because we didn't know what the students were going to ask. We didn't know what they had left behind. Some people forgot that they had left things behind. So we were contacting them saying, hey, you left half your room here. Did you remember that? Do you want these things? Are we allowed to dispose of those things? Well, I need that in writing. So there was a lot of communication that had to happen, and it was a moment here that even during the onboarding of the 3 new staff members, they played a good role in letting us know the needs of the students and what we should change, because they weren't held to that concrete, this is the way we've always done it. They were able to help us push and expand beyond the way we've always done it. So it's important as a supervisor, as you're guiding people through different changes, you're just clearing the pathway. Let them give you their input, let them help out. It makes them feel more connected to the team, and it also lets you see how they can adjust and be flexible. Well, I talked a lot. So now we're going to ask questions. Here's our contact information. You can email. Those are our direct lines. You can leave us a message. Sometimes we're covering the front. We're all taking on new roles and responsibilities during this time, but we enjoy connecting with other people. So please just let us know if I didn't answer anything here. You can always contact one of us. So yes, let's do questions.
If you have a question, feel free to take yourself off mute and just ask away.
Emily, I had someone private chatted and asked if you would be able to release your slides or some of the documents, some of the expectation lists, or any of those kind of things that you use. Would you be able to send that to me or Brittany, and then we can email it out to everyone here?
I sure can.
Great. And then also if someone here knows someone that needs to, if you weren't onboarded correctly, you want to send this to your supervisor, they can watch it on our YouTube channel. We have a YouTube channel that this is going to be placed on there.
Yeah, it's under UCR Lead, and we post all of our leadership series up on our YouTube channel. So feel free to check it out. It'll probably be up this evening because it takes a little while to upload.
Emily, I have a question. I've been on campus for a little over 13 years now, and so I've had a few different supervisors, and I was just curious, is there like a Supervisor 101 class or something that supervisors go to? Because, you know, they're all walks of life. Some are like, hi, welcome, bye-bye, figure it out. And you know, others don't have any kind of plan for you whatsoever. So, I mean, this is just extraordinary as far as I'm concerned, to see that, like, it's very well thought out. You've articulated yourself very well, and you want the new employee to be involved and feel welcomed and successful. Luckily, you know, I self-started personally, so I was able to, you know, last 13 years here, but and in numerous different jobs. But I just am curious about that. If you guys have some kind of class, or if this is just self-taught.
There are classes that are offered by HR. Like I said, I've been supervising for 26 years. I've seen a lot of what not to do. I've seen a lot of trauma caused by supervisors, and I don't ever want to cause trauma. I've been in situations where I did not want to go into work every day. A healthy work environment is very important to me because I know what it can do to you physically. I know what it can do to an employee mentally, and that is not something that I want to be remembered for. I would rather be remembered as that supervisor who encouraged, who developed, who made sure that when another opportunity came along, that that person was ready for it, that I helped that person transition to a new opportunity, that I didn't hinder them from those opportunities. It's part of my core principles, I guess you could say, because I just know how I don't want to be treated. And so for me, it's very important that a person be welcomed and allowed to develop. There's nothing worse than a supervisor that keeps you stagnant, that won't let you grow because they're afraid of your intelligence. I'm here to support, and I can only be as good as my team is. So the better they flourish, the better they do, the more they do, the more I can get them involved in across campus. That helps the team.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. It's out there. You can look it up and, you know, hint that recommendation. Did you know this class was being offered?
I was just going to say, you got any hints on how to offer that information?
Yeah, or you can always reach out to me, and I can reach out to that supervisor and say, hey, how you doing? You want to do lunch?
Yeah, I will say the UCR Lead Instagram page does post the HR trainings regularly. So if you need a way to do that, we also have our Instagram page that does post those.
Do you feel that sometimes supervisors are just so impacted with their workload and trying to, you know, juggle everything and wear multiple different hats at one time that sometimes they just forget about the basics?
They do, and I can say that I have myself been overwhelmed, and that's when I have to take a step back and say, okay, why am I working like this? What's the rest of my team feeling like? What's going on? If we're all feeling like this, that's a problem. And what's going on that we need to change the way we're working? What processes need to be updated? What systems do I need to push for because we're using antiquated styles of work? How do I get my team to be more involved if they're disengaged? What has happened that they're disengaged? Have they experienced some kind of trauma recently? Are they coming to me from a team where a supervisor has done some psychological trauma to someone, and I have to take the time and invest the time? Even if I am busy, other things have to be pushed aside so that your team can see that they're the valuable piece, not the work, because the work will always be there. But that team member will leave you if you don't invest the time in them to make sure that they have the resources they need to do the job. So if I am not finding the time, something is wrong here. So then I would look to my supervisor to say, am I getting the development that I need? Am I getting the resources that I need to be effective at my job? Because part of my job is to make sure that my team is effective and developed. So something is wrong if I don't think that that's part of my job. If I have that title of supervisor in my title, what am I doing wrong? That's where I'm first going to look.
I was going to add, Emily is one of the busiest people on campus, and she makes the time because she sees it is an investment, and she knows it's only going to be better or for her team and everything else. So it's worth the time, even if she has to stay after or whatever, but she does. No. Okay. But that's basically an excuse. Is if someone says they don't have the time to do this, to onboard someone correctly, it's an excuse.
Well, and
Emily?
this seems like it's not just an onboarding. This is something that you invest throughout somebody's career, is how I'm seeing your setup here.
Yes.
Which is like extraordinary.
That is. Hey, Emily.
Hi.
Hi. My name is Angela. That is a great thing that you all have taken the time to have a program like this or a workshop like this, because we do need. I've been with you guys for almost 3 years, and I think we do need that the mentorship, and also we need that people like you, as far as supervisors, taking the time. I know you all have busy lives and busy things on your plate, but to take the time to make sure that your employees have what it takes. I mean, it reminds me of that book, Who Stole My Cheese? and I mean, how can you have a great, a great department or a great team if you, the supervisor or the manager, is not doing their part? And I'm not saying that we can't do our part to make it easy for you guys as well. I mean, I just had a great manager that had to leave for on another position, and she has the same skills that you have as far as making sure that we have what we need to make the job better and make us better. So I do appreciate you guys doing workshops or programs like this to let us know that we're not out there by ourselves.
No. Ronnecia, Yesenia? Oh, Crystal. Hi, Crystal.
Hey, so thanks so much for this presentation. For those of you that don't know, Emily used to actually be my supervisor. So I learned so much, and so much of the things that I do as a supervisor are because of the different strategies that Emily used with me as her employee. And I think that she's really an example of what good supervising can do, and how those different strategies can continue on and can ripple out into the rest of the campus. And so just from the conversation that we've been having here, and from my experience working under Emily, it makes me remember that as a supervisor, our job is to manage people first and foremost. And we can always get bogged down with all the different administrative tasks that we have to do or all of the menial jobs that we're responsible for. But at the end of the day, without our team, we can't do anything. And so we need to make sure that we're always taking care of our team, the people around us, the people to the sides and above us as well. Because again, if we're not taking care of each other, then we're really not going to be productive or effective. And the work that this team does, because I know she hasn't mentioned it too much, is, it's so emotionally taxing already. So not only do you have just your normal fact that you're at work during a pandemic, during all of these things, but you're also having really difficult conversations with students because they're being dismissed from the university. Now you have to kick them out of housing essentially, but you don't want to go through the eviction process. So I just want to commend them again for even taking the time to do this presentation while also being considered essential workers on the campus and doing that really difficult job that there's a reason I'm not there anymore, because it was very difficult. And so I commend you for having all of those tough conversations and for still being a very united team. And I miss you all.
Yeah, we do really, really appreciate you taking the time to do this for us, Emily. It was definitely something that was needed. And as I said to all of you, this will be posted on our YouTube channel. So if you know people who need to see this or you want to get it out there, it will be up on our YouTube channel at UCR Lead. I do want to be respectful of people's time, as I do know that there is a staff assembly event at noon. We do have a raffle that we're going to do. It's something that Lead does at the end of our events. I will go ahead and share the picture. Emily mentioned this book, Getting Things Done When You Are Not in Charge. And it was a book that kind of inspired her, and we have decided to raffle it off. So Julie put all of your names into a hat, and she is going to pick a name.
All right, and our winner is Dawn.
Woo!
Yay, Dawn.
Woohoo!
Get your address, Dawn. I'll email you and get your address and we'll mail it out to you. But I know what time is it? It's 56. Can Ronnecia and Yesenia, since we have you on, can you give us 1 minute? Just say something about Emily, your experience. Just 1 minute each, please.
Okay, in terms of my experience with onboarding, I was brand new to the university. I didn't know I had an idea of what my job would be, but I didn't know what to expect. So I was a little terrified coming in. And I can tell you that the things that Emily incorporated with having a checklist, with making me feel welcomed, I immediately got here and relaxed because I felt so welcomed and so just knowing where I was going, what I was doing, what I was going to be expected of me, as well as what resources to go to, all because of the planning and the preparation that she put in place, was just amazing. And it's probably one of the reasons why I'm still here after all this time, because you just don't find supervisors like Emily and that take the time to care for their employee. And so that just speaks volumes, and it really is, one of those things of employees leave because they have either, a poor supervisor, or they'll stay because they have an amazing supervisor. And I can say taking the time to put this effort into your employees, it makes a world of difference.
And piggybacking on that, I think it goes to the caring of the employee. When Emily became my supervisor, first time I was a student worker, and she immediately, one of the first days she sat down and she went through a process with me. And it wasn't even to dictate this, why are you doing it that way? How come you're doing it that way? It was just, let me see what you're doing. That way I can understand things better. And I think she's taking that approach with her onboarding of, just let me see what this job is and show you what I think and also asking for your opinion. A lot of our team meetings actually is a lot of what are we working on and what do you guys suggest? Oh, there's this issue happening, then how should we move forward? It's not I'm going to tell you what to do. It's what do you guys think? And that, I think, it's what has helped build this team and bond this team a lot more. And I myself, one-on-ones. So I came from a point where I didn't have a lot of one-on-ones, and Emily made a point about having one-on-ones with me, and I'm the one that will turn those one-on-ones to a working meeting, because I'm just stuck in this, I need to make sure I get my work done because I'm so overwhelmed. But Emily takes care of wanting to know where I'm at emotionally, physically, mentally. And so she grounds me into, let me see how you are doing despite the work. And the work will get done when the work gets done. I think that's the onboarding part that helps, where you have someone who's caring about you and caring about how you feel at work, not what you are doing. So that's my tidbit on what I've experienced.
Thank you, ladies, so much. And Brittany, our next one is in February.
Yes, our next meeting, our next leadership series will be February 10th at 11 a.m. I will send that out with whatever information Emily sends to either myself or Julie. So you'll definitely get the registration link for that.
Thank you so much, Emily. Thank you for sharing your resources with us and your time. I know you're crazy busy, but this is an investment, and hopefully some folks do take what you have already done, all the hard work, and apply it. So thank you so much, and see you all next month.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.